Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about a story that's really hitting close to home for me and for a lot of people who care about human rights and the rights of families. A New Zealand woman, Sarah Shaw, and her 6-year-old son, Isaac, were recently detained by U.S. immigration authorities. This is not just a story about one fam, it's a story about how the system can fail those who are trying to do the right thing. Let's dive in and find out what exactly happened here and why this is causing so much concern across the globe, including in New Zealand. First, let me set the scene. Sarah and Isaac were detained at the Canadian border 3 weeks ago after Sarah dropped off her other children in Vancouver now. She was waiting for a green card and she had some immigration documents, but despite that, she was arrested. And now, she and her son are being held at the Dilley Immigration Procedure Center in Texas. That's a facility that's been in the news before for its conditions, and it's not a place anyone wants to be now. The Washington Federation of State Employees, or WFSE, has come out in support of Sarah and Isaac. They're saying that Sarah works as a juvenile rehabilitation at the Echo Glen Children's Center in Snoqualmie, which is run by the WASC. That's a pretty important job, working with kids who need help. And that's something that should be respected. The union is calling for her immediate release. Their president, Mike Weiss-Tromsky, is a psychiatric social worker at Western State Hospital, and he's saying that the trauma this has caused for Sarah and her son may never be healed. But he also says that the union stands ready to help and support them in any way possible. He even quotes that old saying, "An injury to one is an injury to all." That's a powerful statement, and it shows how deeply this is affecting not just Sarah, but the whole union and the people who work with her. Now, Sarah's friend, Victoria Besançon, has set up a fundraising page to get Sarah and her son back to Washington, and she says that Sarah has a limited ability to communicate, so she's relying on others to get her story out. That's a big deal, because it means that Sarah might not have the resources or the voice to speak for herself. That's why we need to support her, and that's why this story is so important. And finally, the New Zealand Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade has said that they're aware of the reports of Sarah and Isaac's detention, and they're seeking further information. Foreign Minister Winston Peters said that they're trying to find out more. But he also said that he can't tell us any more than that. That's a little frustrating because we all want to know more about what's happening to Sarah and her son. So what are we to make of all of this? Well, first of all, it's a reminder that even people who are trying to follow the rules and do the right thing can still end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sarah had documents. She was waiting for a green card and she was just doing her job, but that didn't stop her from being detained. That's a problem. It's also a reminder of how the U.S. immigration system can be so unpredictable and so harsh. And it's not just about Sarah, it's about the people who work with her, the people who care about her, and the people who have to watch as she's taken away from her family. Now, I know that some people might say that this is just part of the process and that it's not that bad. But I think that's exactly the kind of thinking that's allowed these kinds of things to happen. In the first place, we need to be more compassionate, more understanding, and more willing to help people who are in need. That's why I think it's so important that the union is stepping up and that people are coming together to support Sarah and her son. And that's why I think we all need to be doing more to make sure that people like Sarah are caught in the crossfire of a broken system. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we can support the fundraising efforts that Victoria Besançon has set up. That's a direct way to help get Sarah and her son back to Washington. We can also spread the word about this story, because the more people who know about it, the more pressure there will be on the U.S. government to do the right thing. And finally, we can continue to support the work of the Washington Federation of State Employees and other organizations that are fighting for the rights of people who are being treated unfairly by the system. This is a story that's not just about one family, and the kind of values we want to stand for, It's about compassion, justice, and the importance of standing up for people who are being wronged. So I want to leave you with this. Sarah and Isaac are not just a story. They're a reminder of what's at stake when we don't take care of each other. They're a reminder that we can't just sit back and watch as people are treated unfairly. We have to speak up. We have to act. And we have to make sure that no one else has to go through what they're going through. Thank you for watching. If you want to help Sarah and Isaac, check out the fundraising page that Victoria Besançon set up. And if you want to stay up to date on this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell, because this is a story that's worth following. And it's a story that needs our support. Until next time, stay informed, stay compassionate, and keep fighting for what's right. Thank you.